You're looking at Kentucky Speedway, the site of this weekend's NASCAR action on NBCSN. Up now, Xfinity Series qualifying for tonight's 300-miler. This mile-and-a-half High Bank Super Speedway. Dave Burnsdale, Jarrett with you, along with Parker Kligerman and Kelly Stavis down on pit road. It's 3 rounds, DJ. We had single car rapid fire last week. This time, the multi-car qualifying.
Yeah, quite different. Pick and choose when you want to be out on the racetrack, and shouldn't be. Traffic could be an issue, but probably won't be at any point in time. But the one thing that they can be assured of is that it's not going to cool down any until this session's over.
Let's head right down to the garage area and Kelly Stavis.
And Dave, I'm back here in the inspection area where there are a number of cars that have yet to pass through inspection. You can see them all lined up behind me. I was just talking to Chris Rice, crew chief on the 11 car, who told me that they've been trying to get through the inspection process since 1:15, so over 3 hours now. They're on their 3rd time getting through. The LIS process, that alone takes 2.5 minutes. If you don't pass, you got to go back to your garage, make the fixes, and come back, get in line, and go through again. But I can tell you, I see Ryan Reed, Dakota Armstrong, Blake Cook, Brendan Gong, Ryan Blaney, William Byron, Mike Lynette, just a number of drivers that we'd expect to do really well in this qualifying that will be in crunch mode trying to get out in this first session.
Thanks, Kelly. And obviously, if you don't post a time in the first round, you can't move on to the second one. Going for pole here this afternoon, starting up front, very important every week. And the 07 of Ray Black Jr. trying to do just that. Find some speed in his car, as is the 96 of Ben Kennedy. Green for the first 20-minute session. Everybody in the pool. That is if you made it through inspection.
It's going to be interesting. These cars haven't been on the track since right at 10 o'clock this morning. So that was a completely different racetrack. We had a couple of different practice sessions for the Cup Series. So a lot more rubber on the racetrack. The track is heated up a lot. So I'm sure there's a number of drivers that are going out there and said, I need to make an adjustment. Some have already made some adjustment for that. But it'll be very interesting to see exactly how fast they can run and who can make it through to this round 2.
Been following the action this weekend from Sparta, Kentucky, between Louisville and Cincinnati. Rain in the area yesterday washed out all of the practice sessions that were scheduled for this Xfinity Series. So early this morning they ran, and they got just over an hour's worth of practice, and then came in and, as DJ said, have been waiting for this moment to show what their cars can do for qualifying.
You can see Harvick on pace right now to best time that's up there so far. Now, the fastest time this morning by Kyle Busch was about a second faster than what we're looking at here right now. Just about 0.8 now faster than that 30.46 that Kevin Harvick put up.
So track conditions obviously a little bit cooler, but as we always see in multi-car qualifying, a little bit of gamesmanship to try to save your stuff a little bit moving on to the next rounds. Or we've also had that tire discussion, haven't we?
Yeah, you know, and it's difficult here, especially not knowing exactly what the racetrack has to allow right now. So, yeah, for a lot of these drivers and teams, making the top 24 isn't a huge effort, so you don't have to abuse anything in trying to move on to that next round. But for some, it's still going to be out there wide open, get all they can, and learn what they can to see if they need to make an adjustment for that next round.
We should mention, as you see the drivers clock in on the left there, B.J. McLeod just a little bit faster than Ray Black Jr. There are 43 cars here and 40 positions to start this race, so 3 drivers will have to go home. Brennan Poole, fastest so far in the 48 car.
Yeah, really good. Plus, we talk about these first ones that went out. This racetrack has sat for quite a while since the Cup cars finished their last practice. All that does is bring more heat and oils in this asphalt up too as the track sits there. So you're going to get a pretty greasy track if you're one of the first ones out there. With each car that goes out, it'll get just a little bit better.
Brennan Poole with a 7th place finish last week, but on the pole, so he's already become more of a fan of qualifying after last week's first career pole.
Yeah, I think we see him continuously get better and have a better feel for his car, what he's needing week in and week out, and a lot of speed. Got a spin off of turn 4.
Brandon Brown in the 90.
Hold the brake, hold the brake.
He is around, and a little bit of damage there on the back end.
Fired up, rolling down here. You got a couple on the inside of you.
Obviously frustrated with what happened there. Take a look.
Yeah, and this is getting up to speed. He hasn't made a full lap yet, so that's one issue that he has, and you can see just how quickly it gets away. You start that little wiggle right in the middle, hard to save it. No grip once you get out of the groove, too.
One more angle. Here's Brandon Brown. DJ said on the warm-up lap, that's coming out of turn 4. Actually, that's in the middle of turn 4.
Yeah, and you're driving these cars. To get speed out of them, you have to drive them extremely hard. They don't have the horsepower that the Cup cars have. So to make good time around here, you have to be in the gas a lot. If you're out of the gas at all, it's just for a split second.
We heard from Kelly Stavist earlier. Let's check in with Parker Kligerman, who was in a race here at this very speedway last night.
That's right, Dave. And I was listening to DJ talk about how this track has been sitting between the Cup cars and now the Xfinity cars getting on the track. And one driver, being a veteran, has chose to sit out for most of the beginning of this session. That is the one car of Elliott Sadler. Why? Because this track has sat for so long. They wanted to see what kind of grip it had, what availability of grip was out there, because this place is so temperature sensitive. And DJ, you may be able to go further into this because of this new asphalt. It's very dark and it takes a lot of that sun. It takes a lot of heat, and when you have that big difference between when they practiced and now, it leaves a lot of unknowns for these drivers and can make it very tricky when you get out there, as you saw with the spin there of Brandon Brown.
Yeah, that's a good point, Parker. And this has been a racetrack. I don't know that it has any more to do with the new asphalt that's here, even though that they know that they only have a certain amount that they can use, because where you can see the black around here and then the gray, you don't want to get into that gray area. But even though I never raced here, but we would come test here as Ford drivers. Ford would rent this racetrack, and you would go out in the morning and you could run when the track was cool, and you could put out good laps, feel like your car was handling good. You take that hour break in between for lunch, and you come back out and you're like, what happened to my race car? It's totally different. You couldn't run within a second of what you had been running. So this racetrack is just that sensitive, the type of asphalt, even though this is kind of different. But that's a veteran move by Elliott Sadler, waiting to let things get sorted out a little bit, and these type of things that just happened for him not to be on a run that would inhibit him from running as good a lap as he possibly can.
Had a good shot there of his crew chief, Kevin Mendering. Of course, the Mendering brothers, crew chiefs in the Xfinity Series. There's Kevin and his brother Jeff, crew chief on Cole Custer's 00 car. Harry Elliott's got it fired, and he's going to go join the line at the end of pit lane. And we're hearing from NASCAR that the track is clear from the Brandon Brown spin. And you see the ticker at the top has stopped for the moment. That's the countdown clock to the end of round number 1. And it just now begins again.
And Dave, that's a little bit of a break for these cars still trying to go through inspection for that clock to stop. That only buys them a little bit more time to possibly get through that process and have their driver make a lap.
Last in line down there, I think I see Paul Menard in the 2 car. Is the very final car to try to get through inspection and get a lap here in round 1.
As drivers put times in right here, they're going to have to pay attention to who exactly is in that line, maybe, because there's some fast race cars that you expect to put down top 10 speeds there. So if you're sitting down somewhere in the top, right around that 20th spot, or even maybe 18th, you've got to count how many that might be as to whether you might need to go back out and make another attempt.
Am I near the bubble? Did I give it all I can give it?
Yeah.
And might I have to go back out again? Very good point. This is Spencer Gallagher. And he is clocking above the very fast lap of Brendan Poole. We'll compare against the fastest. Oh, another spin. Yep. It is tough to hang on to here. Chad Fincham around in the 40 car.
He got sideways in the middle here.
And it sounds like it looks like exactly the same spot that Brandon Brown lost control of his car. Here's Fincham, the Tennessee driver, and man, it's just like you want to hold it, and then you're starting to just apply the gas there, right?
Yeah, you are. You're back in the throttle there, and you can see he might be 6 inches out in that gray. So you're not even talking about the full width of the right rear tire getting out there, but all it takes is that little bit to not have the grip, and all of a sudden the car is coming around on you.
We were talking about that yesterday, weren't we, in that discussion of where they should use the tire dragging on here?
Yeah.
Because you said it's easy to go ahead and get your left sides down below that,
Yes.
right? But if you get those right sides up above it, trouble.
Yeah, and that was the discussion from Brendan Gaughan and some others about where they put the tire dragging and how they went about trying to put rubber down. And you can, it's always easier if you're working downward instead of having to work up, because once you work up, then your left sides have nothing to grip on once you go up. But if you were working down, you can ease that down. So a big difference in that. But yeah, it's just so treacherous. Yeah, it's the hardest thing that you do. Yeah, again, the racetrack's set here. You're going out there and you know that you have to put out a fast lap. You're in qualifying mode right here. But to go try to get it all, you have to really take a chance sometimes.
EJ, just to add on to that, being in the truck race last night, you talk about how little grip there is when you get out into that gray area, and I can attest to that, especially on restarts when you were forced to be on the outside. You almost had to give 2, 3, sometimes 4 positions up because you just didn't have the grip to carry the speed that you could on the inside. But also then add in that turn 3 and 4 is very tricky, and that's why you're seeing some of these down there, these spins and issues, is that when you go into turn 3, it's very flat, and as you get to the center and the exit, you want to use all that available space, and there's a lot of available space, but a lot of it has not been blown off, has not been cleaned off, and therefore it almost invites you naturally in the banking and the way you're going to unload the race car. But when you get there, you end up in that gray, and that's when you lose the grip.
Hey, Parker, to that point, 2 things maybe. Did that get any better through the night? But then you can see, if you look at the racetrack, and as a driver, it looks even more narrow than standing up here. But because you can't really arc the car into turn 3 as much, it narrows up that lane, and then the car automatically has to go up a little in the center, right?
Well, that's exactly right, and it did get better. You know, in the Truck Series is not the best at laying down rubber. We don't have as many cars out there running as hard as you would in the Xfinity Series or in the Cup Series, and it got incrementally better. But the problem you have here is that when you have the racetrack sit, that dust gets blown back around as well, and it's one of those things where if you have continuous cars consistently running that groove out, it works. But when you have these stops between, and you have these stops in qualifying, single car at a time, it's tougher to know that grip is going to be there when you have to have that fast lap.
That's a good point. It's been sort of a segmented start to the first round here. Only 11 cars have gone, 13 minutes remaining, and 2 spins already.
Okay, so Elliott Sadler and his crew chief decided they were going to wait a while to do this. So they've waited out these 2. Now they were the first car in line to get out on the racetrack first. They've got nobody in front of them, and this should give them a really good opportunity to throw out a good lap. You can see, wow, that car.
Is he in the track?
Parking lot, yeah, I'd say. That's not a good feeling as a driver, I can assure you.
How much of that do you hear?
Yeah, it's not as much here as what you feel. You know, you're hearing it some, but everything being so loud, it's more of what you feel. And you can see this car isn't really to Elliott's liking right there. He's still battling it over there in turns 3 and 4. That part of the racetrack must be extremely slick.
Crosses the line 9th quick for Sadler. Garrett Smithley 12th. And now the 19 car. See what Matt Tift can do. And Tift on his lap is 12th right now. Clocking against Brennan Poole. Went out early for the Chip Ganassi Racing team in the 48 car and laid down a pretty good lap at 30.11, 179 miles per hour. As we see Kyle Busch on track warming it up.
He clocked in at 6th quickest time there, Kyle did.
So I lost track of that.
In. Yeah.
Thank you for noticing.
And so, yeah, that's going to be good enough. And Elliott Sadler that was out there, even though it wasn't his best lap, he's sitting 10th right now. Probably going to be good enough for the top 24, but they'll make some adjustments to that. And Elliott might even have to adjust the way that he's going to attack this place. Even though if you're going to try to make it into the top 12 and have a run at the pole, you're going to have to lay down a pretty good lap.
You look at Ryan Sieg, still in inspection. William Byron, Brendan Gaughan, Ryan Blaney. Also see Paul Menard down there. So a few fast cars yet to go. Sieg lays, that's interesting catch off of 2. Got it gathered up. And then there's that very tricky turn 3. I don't know how many people I heard say this week, DJ, hardest corner in NASCAR. Maybe turn 4 too for Sieg. Wow.
Yeah, I always said I was glad I just had to test here and not race, because I never figured that corner out. And I don't know how many thousands of laps I made around here, but gosh, it's so difficult. And it's been made even more difficult now because you have more grip through 1 and 2, so you're carrying more speed there. That gives you more speed down the back straightaway entering turn 3 than what you had. So it's not like they did anything to help you. That banking just doesn't come into play until you're already committed down into the corner.
You saw Ryan Sieg 15th after that save. Casey Mears 11th. And then Ryan Reed 4th quick in the 16. One of the cars that was a little late through inspection got right out and went to work. Here's a second lap for Sieg, and he will, doesn't look like he'll improve his position.
No, just marginally slower, but was hoping to get a little bit more so he could be a little safer, but slotted in that 15th spot.
It's David Starr on track now. That was a black and blue car last week, back to the white and red paint scheme that we've grown kind of accustomed to. Starr, 21st.
And we've just now got to 24 times, so it'll be from this point on that as cars are able to break into that, we'll see others that are outside and have to make a second run if they choose.
Left side of the screen, you see the cut line at 24. That is Mike Harmon and Morgan Shepherd and Jeb Burton. They're the ones in jeopardy. 46 of Quinn Houff has not gotten above the cut line. And as the 4 of Ross Chastain, another spin, and that was off of turn 2. There's Houff. Locks it up and keeps it off the inside barrier. See the hood buckled a little bit there. See how much he got on the outside. So the Virginia driver Quinn Houff tries to get it refired, and meanwhile we check in with Kelly.
And Dave, these red flags, the stop of the clock here in qualifying has really benefited these cars that had to make multiple trips through qualifying. I can tell you that the 12 of Ryan Blaney has just gone out to pit road, along with the 62 of Brendan Gaughan. William Byron's just getting strapped into his vehicle. Michael Annett as well. So it looks like the 2 of Paul Menard right now is the last car still going through the LIS process. We'll see when and if he gets cleared to head back out too. But certainly the stoppage has been a big benefit to these guys.
Kelly, thanks. 10 minutes remaining. They'll restart the clock when the track is clear. We'll be back to continue round 1 at Kentucky. Welcome back to Kentucky Speedway, and I tell you, there have been some good hand saves in practice, some more than others. We've had some damage. Brandon Brown, unfortunately, really crunched the back end of that 90 car.
Yeah, that definitely will be a backup car they'll be going to there.
This is Chad Fincham, and actually NASCAR has actually approved a tire change for the 40 during the round, so we'll get to replace whatever was damaged there. Most recently, this is Quinn Houff, and he got the right rear of that one, DJ.
Yeah, and I think he might even slide down here and get a little bit of the front end too. So very unfortunate, but a different track than what they experienced this morning.
Ryan Blaney in the 12 this weekend for Team Penske, and one of the latest through inspection. Hopped in the race car, got it out to pit road, and now begins his quest to move on to round 2. Eric Jones is on track. William Byron is now on track, so it'll get busy here at the end. Just under 10 minutes remaining. Oh, yeah.
It's getting up in that area you don't want to be in, too.
Blaney, of course, has been on track today for this series practice, but also his Cup car. So a little familiar with the condition. And Ryan will clock in 4th. We're hearing now Paul Menard has gotten through inspection, so we'll see him driving out. And William Byron has been in the barrier. A young man who has won both of the last 2 weekends and coming in with a lot of momentum. It's got a little trouble in qualifying.
You know, some of this I think that we have to see are drivers that are a little more inexperienced in these type situations where you practice on a racetrack that's one way this morning, cool, a lot of grip, and then as this racetrack has completely changed throughout the afternoon, not making that adjustment as much as you have to, you know, going out and attack right off the bat instead of getting a little bit of a feel for it.
And if I remember correctly, Brandon Jones had that issue last year. He is out there now saying, I've seen too much of this. I've seen it in my own history here. Hang on to this 33. Let's get it to round 2. As you see him clocking, clocked in, that is. Looking for Jones now, 24th and just on the bubble. Yeah, not real happy with that.
No, definitely not.
I was looking further up.
Yeah, his teammate, Hemmergear, looks like he's got a much better lap going.
Daniel Hemrick 3/10 over the fast lap of Eric Jones. Jones, by the way, now displacing Brennan Poole at the top. Hemrick 3rd.
Yeah, Jones the only car down in the 29-second bracket at 29.90.
Earlier today, Eric Jones was practicing that 20 car in the 29-second bracket. But as we talked about, conditions a little bit better for high speeds. Here's Menard, the last one through Tech and third in round one. Let's head down to the garage area and Parker.
Hey, Dave, we've been noticing these guys really struggling with the grip level. Well, one thing adding into that, think about this. Earlier today, when they practiced in the morning, this track temp was 70 degrees. Now is upwards of 107 degrees, a 30-degree difference in track temp. And then add in one other thing. We've noticed cars struggling down into the tough corner that is turn 3 that's already very loose. Well, right now, there is a very strong wind making a tailwind right down the backstretch and pushing these cars into turn 3. And I'm not sure how much that's affecting them grip-wise, but I can tell you as a driver, it's certainly not helping things getting down in that tough corner.
Yeah, I believe that.
Good point, Parker. As you pointed out, we talked about you're already carrying more speed down there, and now you have that wind. As I look at the flag down in the center of the infield here towards the garage areas, and you are getting a good push down there. So that's why we've seen a lot of these drivers, even ones that have run pretty decent laps, kind of wash up in the center of the corner, and that simply was they were carrying more speed than they anticipated.
And as Joey Gase clocks against the 19 of Matt Tifft, who is currently on the bubble, let's go to Kelly.
And Dave, we can expect to see William Byron in that 9 car go back out and make another run. Remember, he got into the wall a little bit. They checked for damage. There was just a little bit, but really they're just trying to make sure there wasn't any tire rub there on the right side. William Byron saying he just got a little bit tight and got into the gray, ended up in the wall, but didn't hit it too hard. They think everything's okay, and they expect him to go out and make another run.
And that was on the warm-up lap. He didn't even trip the timing wire for an official lap, so he needs to get back out there. Spencer Gallagher in the green against 24th place Tifft, and he will move up. Third for Spencer.
Wow, nice lap.
This is off of turn 2. Wow, that's a pretty good hit for Byron.
Goodness. Yeah, they're saying not much damage. That was a hard hit right there.
The junior motorsports cars may be tougher than we know. Goodness sakes. So they've got that. At least they've got the tires cleared out. What else are they looking for, DJ, after a hit like that?
Well, I think just make sure that nothing is bent that they can see. Obviously, if it was too bad, you know, they would forget about qualifying right now because there's not all that much time before they have to race. So they have to make a determination here. Was there enough damage done with a hard hit like that to the? It looked to me like that right rear tire took a pretty good hit to the wall. And if it did, there's a lot of things that can damage in the rear end. And of course, that's not a good part of the car. You don't want any part damaged, but that's where they get a lot of their side force and some of the downforce that's made there. And of course, a lot of that's been taken away from these cars from last year to this year. But that's a very critical part of the car to make sure that the driver has that to lean on tonight during the race.
To go to a backup, they would need to convince NASCAR that it's absolutely necessary. And that may have been a big enough hit. So we've had spins, we've had wall contact. Look at the upper right in Ryan Reed's cockpit. I believe there's a notebook that, oh, sorry, this was Eric Jones' car, Brandon Jones. And as Brandon Jones went out, that notebook slid right off. But will it fall?
Will any notes get out?
Yeah. Are the secrets safe? That's the real question. And that was earlier in round 1 for Brandon Jones.
The driver hasn't even seen that. That's not in your focus at all.
I don't know. He took 3 laps and he did not break the top 24. So, oh, there you go. Yeah, see? Can I have that back? You betcha. Is that Big Mike's notebook? Man, we may need to ask him about that. So here's Jones back on the track now. You see him right now being compared to the fastest time of Eric Jones.
They were one of those cars that was having a difficult time getting through inspection, so he just went 8th quickest. But you wonder how much that plays into a young driver's mind that, you know, maybe he hasn't been in that situation yet where he had to get in the car literally out of inspection and get himself out there to go qualify. And you know, that can work on your mind as to how you go about it.
There's Timmy Hill in the 13 trying to get that car into the show tonight. Just a reminder, 3 drivers will not make the field this evening. 43 entered, 40 will make the show. See the 9 car now bottoming out, having been repaired. Back up to speed for Byron.
Yeah, bought himself a little more room off of there that time. Doesn't seem to affect him a lot. I mean, he's got a
just flirting
decent lap going there.
Yep, now he's well within the green.
Yeah, made a good 3 and 4 right there. So he's going to be safely in the 24. Now they can go back in and look at that. That's 7th quickest.
Fluff and Buffett just a little bit more there. Garrett Smithley not able to work his way, actually on his fast lap now. Ryan Sieg in the 39, down to the bottom, trying to trip that wire just a little bit better than before. He squeaks in 24th for Sieg. Tiff got bumped earlier. Can he work his way back in? 3 positions out right now is Matt Tiff.
Yeah, he's about 0.2 of a second from what he ran the first time. Looking a lot better here. Oh yeah, 4th quickest Tiff.
And there you see the cut line. We slid it up there just to see who is still below it. And other drivers coming out to try to work their way through to move on, including the 4 of Ross Chastain.
Yeah, he was on the track whenever the 46 had his problems off of turn 2, so he had to come back in, cool things down, get everything ready to go again. But you know, the one good thing about this, this isn't really a tire conservation type thing because of the tire combination of new track. So you're not as concerned as you may be at other track where that grip level of the tire goes way down each time that you go back out.
So Chastain makes it in by 2. 22nd. Ross. And here's Elliott Sadler. He's right on the cut line with under a minute to go.
We talked about that. They thought that might, or I was talking about, I thought that might be good enough, but some others have gone back out and picked it up. That made Elliott Sadler, even though he's in right now with only 40 seconds left.
Other cars on the track thinking the same thing. But nobody really moving. Annette and Clements trying to get in. Sadler trying to remain safe.
Much better lap for Sadler this time for sure.
Safely through 3 and 4.
Yeah, can even take a veteran by surprise sometimes. That's how slick something might be and the anticipation of what you did.
So Annette crosses. He does not move in. Sadler moves up. Brendan gone. He's in. Burton does not improve. And there you have it, coming down to the end. This lap will be run by Casey Mears if he wants it. And Mears right on the cut line, doesn't need to, but Michael Annett.
Yep.
Let's see what he's got. Clements moves up but does not get in.
Annett does.
He does, and he bumps Mears. Mears now coming to the line. Does he bump Chastain out?
Nope.
Did not do it. And that will do it for round 1. You can catch all the action of NASCAR and NBC with the NBC Sports app. Get closer with alternate camera angles, driver stats, and track information, which would have included round 1 results. That is complete. We'll come back and talk to drivers, give you more qualifying from Kentucky when we come back. Back at Kentucky Speedway, Dave Burns, Dale Jarrett, Kelly and Parker bringing you all the action of Xfinity Series qualifying. Round 1 is complete. These drivers will not move on, and 3 drivers will go home, unfortunately. It's an exciting first session there, DJ. And we'll go down to Kelly, see who she's caught up with.
Eventful it was indeed. Justin Allgaier, though, easily through to round 2. Have you asked for any adjustments to be made here ahead of this next run?
The only adjustment that we need to make to our Hellman Chevy is just me actually driving into the corner hard enough. You know, with it being hot and slick like it was, we knew we had a really fast race car, but the worst thing I could do is give up time just by overdriving it on that first lap. Made a conservative lap. The car had a lot of speed to it, so that was good. We felt like our strength in practice was the long run, so if we're able to come out of here with a good solid qualifying effort, it'll be a good day. But these guys at Junior Motorsports do such a great job, and our Camaros have been fast. So hopefully everybody home's enjoying it, and we're going to go see what we can do for this next round.
All right, thank you, Justin. Parker.
With Brandon Jones, who finished 2nd last night in the truck race, beating me. How dare you? But you had to take a couple attempts today in qualifying in this first round. What were you fighting there, and do you think you have the speed now in the second round that you found there at the end?
Yeah, I know everybody was on the radio kind of complaining that everybody was very tight. We were tight as well, so kind of made a big swing at it there. Got it on the opposite side of the spectrum right there, almost lost to get into 3. So we went back to exactly how we started, and I don't think we're too bad. They're going to make some small adjustments this time and be pretty good for here in a little bit.
Brandon Jones' team can make adjustments, guys, here in this second round.
If you need them, you got to do it, right, Parker? As we head to break, round 2 coming up, just 10 minutes for 24 to be pared down to 12 in Kentucky. you joined a NASCAR fantasy team this season, well, it's not too late. It's easy to get started. You pick 5 drivers, and you sign up for the league, and you start earning points. It's that easy. Compete against friends, family, or join a public league. Great prizes are still available. Visit NASCAR.com/fantasy to get started now. You're looking there at the 13 of Timmy Hill, who would have gone home and not been in the event tonight, but the 90 of Brandon Brown did not have a backup car after he crashed in the first round, and so Brandon voluntarily withdrew. Timmy Hill is in the show, which is a good thing.
Hey, Dave, earlier we talked about the track temperature, how much it's gone up.
Yes, sir.
If you look up in the sky there, which a lot of teams are, there is a cloud cover. And I can't tell you how many times as a driver in qualifying I've spent more time looking at the sky than I have the actual racetrack or the timing and scoring, because that cloud cover can mean actual tenths on the racetrack. As it comes over, cools the track just a little bit, that little bit can be a big difference. You hear a lot of teams are going to try and use this cloud cover to their advantage and get out very early in the session.
Okay, Parker, so you're still a race driver. Take your headset off as I say this now. When I was a race driver, I really believed that those clouds could help. But you think about it, how quickly they come over and the amount of time that it actually takes to cool the racetrack off any. So this is more about a driver's psyche than it is the actual racetrack itself having time to change too much. Now, anything can be a little bit of a help, but I'm telling you, more of it's in a driver's mind than it is actually the racetrack, which is fine.
Well, DJ, but isn't all of racing psychological? Isn't that the whole deal? This is all mental game here in racing. We're all trying to just convince ourselves we can get that little bit more for that extra tenth on the racetrack.
Good point, Parker.
A lot of cloud cover here today. Showers moved through yesterday, and it was mostly sunny during the Cup Series practice earlier this afternoon. But as we mentioned, got a few big clouds rolling in now, and Tyler Reddick is going to try to take advantage of a little shade out there.
Yeah, I think they're taking advantage of shade, and I think also that a lot of these drivers and teams saw that going back out a second time, a lot of teams picked up, and it wasn't necessarily a bad thing. They want to give themselves that opportunity to cool their engine back down. It's not necessarily cool the tires back down, but if they need to make a second run, this gives them time to do that.
So Reddick sets the standard, just over 30 seconds. Sadler, Kennedy couldn't do it, but Eric Jones does. Jones to the top.
Yeah, even faster than he went in that first round by about 1/10 and a half.
Eric, of course, running both races this weekend, Xfinity and the Monster Energy Cup race tomorrow night in that black number 77. Blake Cook, 8th position for him in the 11 car. Brendan Gaughan is done after 1, and we'll have the 6th place position with a 30-24, DJ.
Now, I don't think that'll be good enough to get in the top 12. Just looking, I think Elliott Sadler's going to know he's there in 7th. Obviously, I think he'll have to look at going back out there too, even though he picked up from what he had run in that first session, or right around the same time that he went back out and made that second run. It's going to take a little faster time.
Here goes Kyle. Nice little competition within the walls of the Joe Gibbs Racing shop as the veteran tries to unseat the young'un at the top, and it looks like Jones is going to prevail for now. In fact, Kyle is 3rd.
They're not handing out that trophy for the pole yet.
No, sir. Kyle Busch has a real idea of what running a whole day is like, right? You've got to keep that in mind. Not that Jones doesn't, but he certainly had a better lap at that moment. See the 3 of Ty Dillon has taken time, 7th quick for him. And a nice run for Cole Custer.
Yeah, really, really good lap. That'll probably be plenty good to get inside the top 12.
Hemrick again quick. We saw that member of the Richard Childress Racing stables be very quick in round 1.
Yeah, that's an impressive lap that Daniel Hemrick put down. Here's Kevin Harvick.
Harvick just 3 starts so far this year, and really helping build that program at Stewart-Haas Racing for the Xfinity Series.
Yeah, you could hear right there just how little he was out. Never really came all the way out of the throttle. He was in the gas and going. And this is where it gets a little tricky here. And you could hear he had to let the car roll a little bit more right there. Carried the speed, but then was able to get back to the gas wide open. It'll be a good lap for him.
Good lap, not in the green against Jones, but 5th for Harvick. Paul Menard in the 2-car for Richard Childress Racing. He is in, but just 10th with 2, 4, 6, 7 cars still taking time.
Yeah, Brendan Gaughan, Elliott Sadler, Matt Tiff, they're all sitting outside that now. They're going to have to kind of reload and see what they can get out of another run in this session. Got just under 6 minutes to go.
Well, I guess William Byron didn't hit it that hard off of turn 2 on his warm-up lap in round 1. That car is still fast.
Yeah, it is. Boy, it really looked like that could have done a lot of damage, but he's put down a couple of good laps so far.
There are hits, right, where if you're flush, it's just right, but that one just looked like it had more force than a lot of them we've seen that walk, go on to the next round without a lot of damage.
Yeah.
23 of Gallagher does not make it above the cut line. Look to the left, you see Ty Dillon is on the bubble. His teammate Paul Menard just above him.
Yeah, Justin Allgaier sitting there in that 13th spot. He'll probably try to run again. Just 3/100ths of a second separate him from that 12th spot.
And we talk about the importance of moving on to the final round, of moving up, of getting the best starting position that you can for these races, DJ. Why is it so important?
Got stage racing now, and so if you're going to gather as many points as you possibly can in each event, then you need to give yourself the best opportunity in those first 2 stages of gathering points, and then obviously finishing the night off with a good solid effort in that last stage and getting as much as you possibly can there. So a lot of things have changed this year. Stage racing has brought about a lot of excitement and changed the way that drivers, teams look at this, and getting a good qualifying effort gives you a better chance at doing that.
First 2 stages, just 45 laps. That's very quick from the start. So this was round 1 for William Byron. Yep, 2 wins in a row, but that doesn't guarantee you anything. And on his warm-up lap, pow! Significant damage. We thought they worked on it, sent him back out, moved on to round 2.
And there's really not a lot that they can do there with that, sitting out there and the adjustments that they can make and things, Adding some tape and things is about as far as they can take it.
So Byron's engine now being cooled. You see the hoses in there inside the cowl. We'll get him ready for hopefully not another run here. There's still 3 cars that have not taken time with just over 3.5 minutes remaining in round 2. Ryan Reed, Michael Annett, and Ross Chastain. And right now, the 9 of Byron is above the line. You see the playoff standings there on the left. Byron's 2 wins at the top. The only championship contending driver to have multiple wins. And just above the cut line right now by 24 points, Brendan Gaughan. And this is a place where he could win. 1.5-mile track like this would be a place for Brendan to, punch his ticket to the playoffs.
Yeah, his last win came right here at Kentucky, so that opportunity is there. It's a star-studded field to make that happen. You've got to do a lot of things right, but we've seen a lot of crazy things happen. Looks like the 4-car can't get started right here, so
we're hearing Chastain's crew may have to get out there and roll him back.
Not sure how much that is allowed.
I don't see him hustling either, so that may not be allowed. He is way down there, just at the exit of pit road. And no movement down here. A lot of hustle for Michael Annett right now.
Yeah, he had to kind of wait. We talked about everybody else getting out there, but he was one of the last ones on the track at the end of session 1 just to get himself into this. So he had to kind of wait, make sure they got everything cooled down a little bit high there in the middle of the corner. That kind of hurt his time that he was looking pretty decent at.
Another one of the drivers for Junior Motorsports. And Michael Annett will be 22nd. See if he stays on it. He is not going to stay on it for another lap, so he'll shut it down. Here's his teammate Justin Allgaier coming off of turn number 4.
Yeah, he's looking. His time is against that of Ty Dillon, who's in that 12th spot. He's going to miss it just again. Picked up just a little bit, but still not quite enough. Picked up 100th of a second. Still leaves him 200 shy.
Brandon Jones right here. I guess he was talking about in practice was a little bit loose, so they tightened it up. Car seems to be much more drivable for him here in qualifying. Jones across the line improves, but only by a couple. He'll be 18th. Here is Daytona Beach's Ben Kennedy. And Kennedy will try to improve on what he's done so far. 20th quick for him.
You see, got off, came to the green flag really, really good. Got through into turns 1 and 2 good, but losing a little bit down the back straightaway. It built up a little bit. We'll see if this was a part of the track that Ty Dillon was really good, holding on right now.
Ben Kennedy's pretty good right there, but lost it right there in the middle. And coming off the corner, doesn't look like he'll have it. Against Dillon, no.
Yeah.
Kennedy will move up, but it'll only be 15th best.
Ryan Reed completes his lap there. Not fast enough in the 21st spot. Blake Cook back out on the track.
Lets it feed up to the outside wall there, then back down to the inside. Cook will be 19th. Matt Tifft will be 15th. Ty Dillon hanging on. There's the car of Tifft cooling down after his lap.
Elliott Sadler coming by to complete his. Not going to be good enough either.
They're taking shots at Ty, but so far, no. And 3 other Richard Childress Racing cars on track right now. Menard, one of them, trying to give himself a little insurance. And you saw the clock ran out. A couple cars still on track that can complete this lap. So Reddick, who was quick early, went out early, kind of taking an insurance here.
They've got a good lap going. Reddick does.
And that's going to be 7th.
Yep, moves in there.
So no one moves Ty Dillon. He rides the bubble, and we'll move on to the final round. 12 drivers to go for the pole here at Kentucky Speedway when we return. 12 remain to run for the pole at Kentucky in the Xfinity Series. This is 13th through 24th, and DJ, they're not in a horrible spot for the start of the race.
No, we talked about trying to get some stage points, but they're not that far back because they can't get themselves inside the top 10 before those that first stage ends.
Kelly, what's Ryan Reed got to say?
Well, he's qualified 21st. I imagine, Ryan, you had hoped for a bit better than that, but given the circumstances, how do you make up some track position tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously, yeah, like you said, didn't want to qualify 21st. Thought we had a better car than that. I think we were 12th in the first round. Just needed to be a little tighter on entry to 3, and we freed up even from there. So just too loose in qualifying. Going into the race, yeah, I mean, you'll obviously have to get aggressive, and then there'll be a lot of options to play some strategy with all the stages and all that. So hopefully we can get racing tonight. The rain stays away, so everyone at home watching their Xfinity X1 can watch us race under the lights. I know I want to. This place gets really fast once the sun goes down, so I think hopefully we can get to try that out.
That's right. Rain, stay away, right, Parker?
That is right. And for our points leader, Elliott Sadler, who will start this race in 18th. I don't think it matters, though, because when I polled most of the garage earlier today, they said they didn't care where that one car starts. It will find its way to the front. Is that true?
Well, we hope so. You know, we had some issues today in practice, so we lost a lot of time, and so we kind of use this as our practice today. So our one main financial Chevrolet, you know, is a little bit off to qualify 18th, but we're going to try to make as many adjustments as we can. And Kevin always does a good job with race management. So I mean, you never know what's going to bring us today. Tonight might be different, or tomorrow whenever we race, but we'll stay after. It doesn't pay money where you start. It's always where you finish, and we usually find our way to the front.
That is true, guys. It does not pay money to start up front.
Absolutely true, Parker. Veteran viewpoint of Elliott Sadler. Final round of qualifying when we come back to Sparta, Kentucky. Love seeing stock cars there, and Indy cars are exciting as well. There's a 9 of William Byron in the middle of the picture. They talked a little strategy about the final round.
Earl, you think we'll get any clouds here?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're going to have clouds here in just a second.
10-4, so we probably need to go right away.
Yeah, it looks to me, you can see it. It looks to me like it's getting into a real big one right now.
10-4.
That was obviously a little earlier, and guess what, DJ? Bright sunshine.
Yeah, not so much now.
So now maybe we'll wait into this 5-minute session and see if we can catch that cloud.
You can do whatever you want. This track's going to be hot whenever you go, so but take your best shot at it.
And you're only going to take one shot, right?
Yep, one time at it.
Here they go. Eric Jones says, yep, let's go. 22 of Joey Logano as well. There's the 18 of Kyle Busch. You mentioned a star-studded field tonight. There's 3 Cup drivers in a row. They will be tough to beat. Brendan Poole in that blue 48, the first regular of the Xfinity Series out. Emmerich bright green 21. There is Ty Dillon winning the only thing on his mind tonight.
Yeah, so there's no holding back now, Dave. It's got to go with everything that you've got.
Up to speed, Eric Jones through 3 and 4. Fades out to the wall nicely, back across the start-finish line, setting up turn 1. Idea, spend as much time on the throttle and as little time off it as possible, right?
Yep. Try to keep that other foot off the brake. Really don't need that here. That's the one critical-ish part right there. Getting down into turn 3, you're carrying all of that speed, but you can say Eric Jones really kept his car down really, really well. Another fast lap for him, I believe.
Here is the standard for the final round. Eric Jones, 29.73. Kyle Busch, he's under that. Joey Logano just above it. Here comes Kyle to the line. Kyle Busch to the top. A 68. Poole not able to better it. Hemrick's best shot, 5th. Blaney on track next. Ty Dillon in the 3. He can't do it. Anyone beats a 68?
No. They're going to have to find a shortcut around here if they are.
Paul Menard is up to the task. He's up to trying it.
Oh, yeah, that never stops you from trying.
That's right. Takes his Chevrolet down, hangs onto it through 3 and 4. And Menard 3/10 above. He can't pick it up between there and here, and he will be 5th. Here's Blaney finally out, coming to the green. And we talked about it, DJ. These are not bad starting spots, but you want that pride and the ultimate clean air of the pole position.
Well, you've worked hard in these get through these first 2 rounds. Now this is about getting you the best spot that you can, getting a good pit selection. Everything that you've worked for is right here in front of you now.
Saw Ryan Blaney's team at dinner last night. That 12 bunch, not at every race, and so they like to get out when they can, just celebrating a little bit with their driver after his Cup Series win at Pocono.
Really good lap, just not good enough for those 2 Toyotas up front.
That'll be 3rd for Blaney. That is good. Custer to 6th. Byron in the somewhat banged up 9 car. Good lap in 5th.
Yeah, I'm just amazed by that.
I wonder if he hit it just right.
Yeah. Yeah, if there's a such thing, yeah. It might be a lesson into how to hit the wall if you're going to.
Listen, if anybody could study that and know how to do it, I'm not going to put it past Byron.
Kevin Harvick was doing his best to hit the wall right there, but did a great job of staying off of it. But I think that really hurt his time right there on the exit of turn 2.
He knows he has lost that opportunity, and now just coming to the line in one piece, thankfully, in the 41 car.
Yeah, that could have worked out not so good, but with his experience, he knew exactly what he needed to do and made that happen and save the car. 10th spot.
Shuts it down. No need to try any harder. And the 42 of Reddick will be the final car to take a shot at Kyle Busch, at least take a shot at moving himself above 12th. NASCAR is on NBCSN this weekend from Kentucky. Xfinity Series racing tonight. Coverage starts at 8 Eastern, and tomorrow it's the Monster Energy Cup Series. Telecast presented by Toyota beginning at 7:30 Eastern. Keep it right here on NBCSN. So here's Reddick. We've noted he has run early in both of the previous sessions. A chance to cool down that motor. A chance to give himself the best opportunity. And let's see how he looks against Kyle Busch. Going the wrong direction in the ticker.
Not like everybody else, slower.
Yeah, than Kyle. That's right. That has been a hard mark to try to hit.
It's been the same story for a lot of years for a lot of drivers trying to catch Kyle Busch. But let's see where he rolls in here. That's a good lap. 6th quickest.
And as these series regulars will tell you, racing against Kyle just makes him better. Here's Daniel Hemrick. He's going to give it one more try. You see the clock winding down. This lap will count for Hemrick, who gets it started before the clock runs out. And looks like he is the only one who's going to give it one more shot. Why not?
Hey, there's a couple of schools, though. I mean, he's sitting there in 10th. Not take the chance of something happening out here, going back out for just one more run to try to move yourself up from got a good starting spot for the race. But then on the other hand, he's a young driver. As many times as he gets to do this, the better he becomes.
Not able to do it. Parker's with that happy man. Parker?
That I am. Kyle Busch will win his 61st pole in the Xfinity Series. You ran the Truck Series race last night, got to run behind me for a little bit. Did you learn some things following me? Is that what allowed you to get this pole?
I learned you got to be an animal. Yeah, you're an animal out there. No, it was great car. Guys at Joe Gibbs Racing have been doing a fantastic job, so it's really cool to get this Rowdy Noss paint scheme on the pole this week, and hopefully we can have a good show for tonight. You know, I feel like our car's been pretty good. It's had some pretty good speed. We typically have good race speed here as well too, but we also know there's a couple other guys that have some also. But all in all, just glad I could finally hit my marks the right way there the last segment, and be able to take the pole home. So hopefully we can win this thing tonight.
Guys, it does not bode well for the competition. He won the pole here last year and won this race.
Parker, he's won the pole for his last 10 Xfinity Series starts on 1.5-mile tracks. Pretty incredible. We'll go to break. Coming up on the other side, NASCAR America with Krista, Kyle, and Nate Ryan. There they are. Thanks, guys.